do some reciprocal reading on Scene 4, Thai Battle of Trafalgar 1805. Firstly, as we always do, teacher invites people to make predictions about what they're going to learn and what's going to happen. We could have the Learning to Learn chief to kick off his prediction or her prediction. And the Learning to Learn chief might say, well, we are going to see the Battle of Trafalgar, which is a battle that I don't know very much about, but it happened in 1805, and I'm guessing that it's a real event. And you might have the assessor chipping in, well, I know about the Battle of Trafalgar, we did it in history, and it is where Lord Admiral Nelson got killed, but he won a battle against the French, which was very important, but he himself died. Okay, so we then have the teacher make sure that everyone reads the particular scene. Okay, so when you've done that, you need to discuss it in your reciprocal teaching groups. So the first person up is the summariser, and the summariser is going to skim and scan back over the scene and summarize what's going to happen. So the summariser might say, well, looking over this scene, we have Thai, this year 8 or 9 student, I can never quite remember who, but 13, 14-year-old girl who falls into a picture in the National Maritime Museum, and the picture becomes real, and she's sort of drowning in the sea, which is the sea of the Battle of Trafalgar. She helps a sailor and saves the life of a sailor, Miski playing the sailor here, and we see that you saved my life, Miski, who's playing the sailor, says. And then the Time Devil sort of says that she has superhuman powers. It's part of the package of the Time Book app. We then see Thai sort of floating up through the ceilings of the museum, and the summariser, having talked a lot here, may well say, assessor, can you carry on summarising, because I've actually done a pretty good job so far. And the assessor might take up the next bit to summarise, which is that they are a group of people: Sir Thomas Masterman Hardy, William Beatty, Dr. Alexander Scott, the ship's chaplain or religious person, are all gathered around Lord Nelson, and he is dying. But Ty has been given this special gift by the Time Devil to heal Lord Nelson. And the assessor might say, well, actually, you know what, I've talked a lot now, can I move on to the motivator to finish off a summary? And the motivator will say, sure, I love summaries. And looking through the next bit of the scene, we can see that Ty gets given a first aid kit, and there's special sort of wipes, wet wipes in it, which really heal Lord Nelson. And we see the consequences of Lord Nelson surviving. Lord Nelson had a lover, Emma Hamilton, who was very, very pleased that Lord Nelson lived, because in real life, because Lord Nelson actually died, she lived a miserable life towards the end. And then we have everyone sort of beginning to suspect what Ty is up to in this scene, and because they don't like the fact that Lord Nelson has actually survived, because when he died, he became a great hero, but if he lived, he becomes less of a hero, and everyone lands up sort of shooting at him. And we could have the questioner and the Learning to Learn chief then sort of asking questions. So what actually does really happen in a nutshell in this scene. And the learning to learn chief might say, well, in a nutshell, we see Ty healing Lord Nelson, who actually did die at the Battle of Trafalgar, but Ty, because she takes pity on him, heals him. And the questioner might throw out a question to the teacher and the summariser. Come on, teacher, summariser, you haven't done much recently. Tell us, what's the consequences of her rescuing Lord Nelson from death. And we sort of learn, don't we, which is a little bit confusing, that says a teacher, that things don't turn out that well, weirdly, because Lord Nelson, this line is important. You mean to say I become a bit of a nobody? Lord Nelson becomes sort of a bit forgotten, whereas in real life he became a huge hero. And then we might have the learning to learn chief finishing off this cycle, saying, well, what have we learnt about our learning here? How are we feeling about things? And the motivator might say, well, I've learnt that if I reread things, I can get it, because actually when I first of all sort of looked at this scene and read it through, I didn't actually get very much of it, but actually I read it again to myself, and I began to understand what happened. So rereading for me was really important. So those are the sorts of things you need to think about with that learning to learn question. What is actually helping you kind of get a grip on what's going on?